we want to talk about cameras within Vizrt. And if you're in your default settings, the cameras usually show up here in the upper right. We're going to slide it out into our middle window here so we can access some of these properties a little bit easier. So within Vizrt, you have up to 16 cameras that you can use. And if you're in your scene editor here, if you click on any one of these numbers here, these represent a camera. So at any time you can change to a different camera and work with a different camera if you want. And notice if you change it up here in the scene editor, in this numerical box up here, it's also going to activate the camera within your camera tab and vice versa. So if we come down here and activate camera 4 within our camera tab, it's going to make this one active up here. So it doesn't matter which camera you work in or which one you choose, just be aware which one you are using. We're going to use camera 1 for now. And what you have under your camera settings are a transform. So we can move our position X, Y, and Z here of your camera. Below that, you also have a direction that includes a pan, a tilt, and a twist. And then further down from that, you have your relative position. Again, an X, Y, and Z axis. And then further down, you also have options for your lens angle and depth of field. Some of these settings will relate to the scene settings in here, within the scene settings here, and within the rendering tab. For instance, you'll have your lens effects here and some other options underneath the camera. Now, cameras can be keyframed, so you could come in here at any time and position your keyframes and set keyframes for that. And you could use your editor in here to do it. You could also come into your views and work with your camera that way. So if we come into our top view over here, here you can see the camera, and we can click on this camera within our view here and start moving this camera around, and we can set keyframes for the camera if need be. When you're moving your camera around, you have the option to grab it by the camera body, and here's where it's pointing at or what it's pointing to, and you can grab that independently of the other handles and move that around. You also have a third handle here which you can grab and drag the camera around as well. And if you did need to keyframe this, it would be as easy as setting the camera where you wanted it to start. You set a keyframe and then you move the camera to the new spot, and now you have a keyframe. And now if we scrub our timeline, you can see that we just created a animation for our camera here. There's another way that you can create an animation within your camera. So if we go back into our default views here and into the camera, we also have this position tracking. And within our scene, we have an icosahedron flying around. So if we go back into our views here and we hit play, you'll see this little icosahedron fly around the screen. So what we want to do is attach this to our camera. And we're going to go back into the default views, then into our camera. Instead of using camera 1, we're going to turn camera 2 active. So we're going to turn the little active eyeball on right there. And then we're going to open up our camera 2 tracking position. We're going to slide this icosahedron into there, into the position, and then we also want to tell it what we want the camera to point at. So we want it to point at the cube, and once we drag it into the tracking direction, it's now set up. So we could hit play, and now our camera is flying around this cube. And if we go into either a view from the top here that we can see and play it, or our other views and we can see, now our camera is flying around this cube. And again, we'll go back into our regular view and to see it, you can see how we set an animation for that camera. So you're always working within a camera within Vizrt unless you're designing in your front view here or a side view. But whenever you create a scene, be aware that you are working or looking through a camera when creating your scenes.